ladies and gentlemen. Today's lesson is on long division and fraction and decimal conversions. I know that we've done long division before, but I wanted to do a little review because you need it for this upcoming test as well. It will also help those of you who are taking a retake on the Unit 1 test. We are also going to be taking it a step further and looking at some special things that happen when you turn decimals into fractions. So please write down on the next blank page in your notebook the objective for the day. It is, I can use long division to turn fractions into decimals, and I can turn rational decimal numbers into fractions. That last part is what we haven't really done before, and it's what we're going to do. On that same page in your notebook, please write quick review of long division, and hopefully you remember this. You made a cheeseburger about it. Does McDonald's serve burgers? Write that down on the left-hand side, and write down divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. Pause the video if you need to write that down. I'm not going to go into detail there because you've done it before. You're pros. Go ahead and go to the next page of your notebook and put the heading turning a fraction to a decimal. Remember the question I've asked you before about what number gets in the house first? Well, let's say I have 6 over 8. If this is my division symbol, 6 is the first number I'm going to say, 6 over 8. So 6 goes inside the house, and 8 is stuck outside in the cold and the rain. Write down over on the side of your paper DMSB. It's always a good idea to write that down because it's easy to forget where you are in the process, and that'll help you keep track of where you are. So if I'm going to do long division, I need to first ask myself, division, how many times does 8 go into 6? And the answer should hopefully be 0. It doesn't go in at all. Okay, and I like to put my placeholder 0 with a little X through it. I'm not really sure why, it's just habit. But 8 does not go into 6 at all. We get 0, and then I multiply. So I do this 0 times 8 and get 0. Subtract those two, and then I'm at my bring down step, but there's nothing to bring down. Don't forget, you can always just add a decimal point and a 0 and bring that 0 down. Be careful. I have some people who are wanting to put the 0 that they add not here but up here. That top section is reserved for your answer. You can't put anything up there except the answers to your division step. Okay? So I've brought down my 0, and now I say, I don't know what to do now. I finished the DMSB. You go right back up to division, and we say, how many times does 8 go into 60? It goes in 6, nope, that's not right, 7 times, and then I multiply. 7 times 8 is 56. Subtract, leaving me with 4. And then I need to bring something down, so I will add another 0 to that. And I have 40. You're not done yet. Okay, we need to go through the process again. Divide. Does 8 go into 40? It does. It goes in 5 times. And 5 times 8 is 40. When I subtract that, it leaves me with 0. This 0 is what you're looking for right here. That is the sign you are done. You're not done until you do subtraction and get a 0. So my final answer, if I pull this decimal point straight up, is going to be 0.75. Okay? Let's go ahead and look at some special cases, some special fractions that do kind of weird things when you turn them into decimals. Dividing by 9. When you divide numbers by 9, there's a really cool pattern that shows up. You can do this on the same page, guys. You should have enough room because we didn't do too much on this page so far. So go ahead and just draw a line and write special cases. Number one is dividing by 9. So if I have 7, which gets in the house first, and it's divided by 9, 9 can't go into 7. So I start my whole process, add a decimal point and a 0, bring the 0 down. 9 goes into 70 7 times, leaving me with 63. Subtract, I end up with 7. If I keep bringing zeros down and get 70 again, look, I had 70 here, I had 70 here, it's going to just keep happening. So I'm going to keep getting 7s going on, and you know that that's called a repeating decimal. I bring my decimal point straight up into my answer, so I have 0.7 repeating. Notice that the number that repeats when I divide by 9 is the number that was in my numerator. So if I had 1 over 9, my repeating decimal is going to be 0. There's my 1 repeating. Ooh, that looks like a T. Let me fix that. 0.1 repeating. Okay, so dividing by 9, you just take the numerator and you repeat it. That's all. There's another cool pattern I have, and that is when you divide by 11. I want you to try and divide by 11. Do this 7 over 11 long division problem on your own. 7's going to go in the house, 11 stuck on the outside. Pause the video and try that on your own, see what you can come up with. Make sure the video is paused within 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here's the answer that you should have gotten. You should have gotten 0.63 with the repeating bar going over the 6 and the 3. If you did your long division, I have all the steps right here. You can compare your work to mine and see where you might have made mistakes. And you can notice a pattern that the long division you're doing alternates between 70s and 40s and then back to 70s. And if I were to add another 0 and bring it down, I just stopped because I ran out of room, I would have a 40 again. Okay, so you're going to keep having the same pattern again and again. So it's going to be 0.63 repeating. Now something really neat about that. Take a look at this 7. Okay, if I were to multiply that 7 by 9, what number do I get? You get 63. I think this is so cool. So look, that's the number that's repeating. Isn't it neat? You don't have to write this next one down. I just want to show you another example. If I have 3 over 11, what's 3 times 9? It's 27. So guess what 3 over 11 is? 0.27 repeating. Isn't that so nice? So cool. Of course, you do need to know how to do the long division, but there are a handful of special rules that give you repeating decimals that you can remember. So there's the rule of 9 and then there's the rule of 11. Okay, let's go ahead and move right along onto the next topic. Put this on your next blank page, and it's going to be turning decimals into fractions. So when I turn decimals into fractions, um, this description here, it's math speak. It doesn't make a lot of sense until you use it with an example, but it's valuable nonetheless. Place the decimal part of your number over the appropriate multiple of 10 and then simplify. Okay, math speak. Let's actually make it real world English. So if I have 3.65, the decimal part of my number is 0.65. I'm going to put that as a fraction, and that's going to become my numerator. Now, when I'm choosing the appropriate multiple of 10, I look at my place values. 6 is in the tenths place, and 5 is in the hundredths place. I know then that 65 is going to be over 100. I use the farthest place value that exists in my decimal part. So this decimal becomes the fraction 3 and 65 100ths. But you're not quite done yet because I need you to simplify that. If I take 65 over 100, both of those numbers can be divided by 5. So if I do that to simplify, 65 divided by 5 is 13, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. So my final answer here is simply 3 and 13/20. Okay? So you find the decimal part of your number, put it over 10 or 100 or 1,000, depending on how many places in the decimal part you have, and then you just simplify. So I have a couple that I want you to try on your own. 6.5 and 0.012. Pause the video and take a second to try and solve those questions. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here are my answers. For the first one, you should have gotten 6.5. You put it, you took your decimal part, 5, put it over 10 because 5 is in the tenths place. And I get 6 and 5/10, which simplifies to 6.5. For the second one, my decimal places, that's the tenths, that's the hundredths, that's the thousandths. So I'm going to put 12 over 1,000. And then I divided by top and bottom by 2 to get 6 over 500. Divided by 2 again to get 3 over 250. Okay? So that's the end of the lesson itself. I want to give you a challenge question for your reflection today. I want you to try and explain to me how you would turn this decimal into a fraction. I want to see if you can figure it out. Okay? So respond to that reflection on Edmodo. And if you are completely clueless, if you can't figure it out, tell me what you tried. Tell me what you came up with. And tell me where you got stuck. Okay? Have a wonderful day, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.